Hi, welcome to the latest edition of the Get Carter Productions Vodcast. And this time, excitingly, we have a guest. We have the co-founder of audioadpro. The first webinar that we did was on digital audio, and now we've actually got some experts in the room, real experts around the targeting. So Roger, welcome. And what we're going to ask, a little bit of background on Roger first. So Roger, tell us a little bit about you and the background.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the expert thing, but thank you. Good to be here. I think, so my background started pretty much in radio for, I think a lot of people will be familiar with Metro Radio Group.
Yes.
And I started
Obviously.
in that, yes, in the early 90s, which still sounds quite frightening.
Not that long ago,
last
then, Roger.
century, man. Viking FM in Hull. So spent a number of years there. I was in radio for quite a long time, and so that's my background really, but done various other bits and pieces since then.
Yeah, so that's radio.
Yeah.
audioadpro is digital audio.
Yeah.
For people who, and there'll be a few on here who do know, there'll be a few on here who profess to know. What's the difference? What is digital audio for the layman?
Yeah, I mean, often it'll get kind of described as radio advertising done digitally. The way it works for us is it's a digital advertising channel similar to social media advertising, digital display advertising on newspaper websites, etc. But the ad is an audio ad. Now that is across a number of different channels. So radio is one and a significant part of it. Streaming, music streaming services, so things like Spotify, Deezer, Sonos, etc. Then you have podcasts as a channel, and increasingly audio ads served within mobile games that people play puzzle games on their phone. And there's more channels coming on too, but it's primarily those four at the moment. So it's advertising that reaches people who are listening to content, whatever that be, whether it's radio, streaming, podcast, etc.
So the difference between radio advertising, what we would class now as linear, and digital audio, is all in the targeting.
It is, yeah. I mean, the opportunity that you have within digital audio is to create your own geography, your own location, your own area. So if you've got a shop and you know it reaches people within a 5-mile radius of that shop, you can say, well, give us the postcode, we'll do that, 5-mile radius. We'll only serve the audio ads in that area.
Right.
And it's to people that are listening to anything. So which helps, because it's not whether do they listen to this radio station or that radio station, are they listening to whatever they're listening to will hit them if they're in that area. And then we do audience targeting on top of that, and the audience targeting goes to such granular levels, it's quite incredible.
Okay, so I'm a brand, or I'm an agency, because we'll have both watching this. What are the things that I should consider before I enter the world of digital audio advertising?
I think some of the things to consider is just it's huge,
right?
Because there's that many people are consuming. Or I mean, we know that radio, as an example, on its own, is kind of 80-90% of all people are listening to the radio at some stage. When you add in things like music streaming, and podcasts, those numbers just grow exponentially. And people don't often misunderstand what mobile gaming is. So it doesn't tend to be young people playing Call of Duty on a mobile phone.
Right.
That's not the target market. The majority of people that are on there, the largest ones, are around puzzle games, crosswords, playing Monopoly on there, play all those kind of games.
Right.
Even learning a language, because to get to the next level, you'll need to be served an ad. So the scale of it is enormous.
Yeah. So I was learning Welsh in the lockdown. And that's just resonated with me. I never even thought about that because I was getting served to go up because I was having to pay for the premium.
But you wouldn't identify as a gamer.
No, and that was exactly. I wouldn't identify myself as a gamer, let alone. Yes, I see. Yeah.
And then what's the challenge for mobile gaming is that people get a bit fed up of having to sit through a 30-second video ad because it's primarily video ads on there at the moment is the major channel, so they have to stop what they're doing, watch this ad before it goes to the next level. With an audio ad, just turn the volume down on whatever you're doing. You get served the ad and you carry on.
Okay.
So it's a far better user experience using audio.
That makes sense. From a client point of view then, so I enter into it, I think this is massive, I want to do it. How do you measure, how will I measure the effectiveness? I mean, it could be in sales, it could be in this and that, but from your perspective, how do you measure the effectiveness of my campaign?
All right, if anyone has done social media, say Facebook advertising, they'll be familiar with this principle anyway, but for not. We simply apply a piece of code to the audio ad in the server. Right. So a bit of software code that sits on the ad. And whenever that ad is listened to, before I go into that, and then we give a corresponding piece of code that will sit on the client's website. So we say, put this code on there. What happens is that when a listener has listened to an ad and then visited the website, that those two pixels talk to each other and go, there's someone. So we can show how many people have heard the ad, and that's not extrapolated data from Radar, that's just real data based on streaming. So that's like, this person heard that ad, and how many times they've heard that ad. And then what have they done? If they've done nothing, obviously it records nothing. If they've gone to the website, then it'll go, right, we know that X% of those people, unique reach, have heard the ad and then come to the website. And then we can track them on their journey through the website, whether that's to specific promotional pages, whether that's to add to basket, or whether even to checkout.
So the main difference for somebody like myself to understand is that from linear radio, that is an extrapolated piece of how your reach, your opportunities to hear, and that's that at the front end of the campaign. Whereas with yourselves, it is physically delivered impressions.
Physically delivered impressions
to individual.
And then we even then work out from that is what's the unique reach within that within those impressions. So see, if there's been 100,000 impressions, that might be 25,000 individuals that have heard it 4 times.
Yes.
So we break it down all the way further. And I think going back to that days of selling radio, when I was selling radio, and anyone that's done that before, yourself included, is you'd go to see a client and go, well, has it worked? And you kind of didn't know. And you couldn't show it. You could show things that suggested it had worked, but you could never prove it had worked. Now, what this has done is be able to give people the chance to really evaluate and analyse how their audio advertising.
Because that was always one of the bugbears of anybody that was ever in commercial radio sales. Was that you never had any data.
Yes.
But this is giving you data.
It gives you the data.
Yeah, brilliant, fantastic. So come back to the data, targeting. At what levels and how do you do it?
Okay, the technology rather that we have is we can either do, as I mentioned before, put a pin in a map, draw a radius of that, and we can physically, technically be able to make sure that ads do not go outside of that area. Or we can draw a polygon, and it might be a postcode area, so people can give us postcodes, a series of outcodes, and say we want to target these postcodes, and we draw a polygon in the map, and again ring fence the audio ads within that. So that's fantastic because that gets rid of wastage. If you're a store in Gateshead, say Barker and Stonehouse as an example here, and they want to target their ads for here, they don't have to go and talk to people that actually could be closer to a different Barker and Stonehouse elsewhere. It keeps it within their area. Same for motor dealers or any advertiser. So you've got that geographic thing that cuts down all of that wastage geographically. Then we layer on audience advertising. And to give an idea, we have over 6,500 different data sets that are updated weekly. Live data of different audience segments of people that comes from Office of National Statistics, hard one to say, telco companies, financial organisation, retailers sharing their data, and we have access to that. And so that could be someone that likes shopping at Sainsbury's, likes shopping at Asda, buys from this, likes to watch this, whatever, it's 6,500. And then we layer that on top of the geo. Now, here's the issue.
Right, yeah.
So here's the issue, is that sounds great, and it's fantastic. But inevitably, that's going to affect scale if you try and go too small with too many different ones layered on. So it's about having some sense to it as well.
So you still need an element of volume in the target as opposed to drilling right the way down.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, delivering it would be.
Yeah, but the bigger your geo, you can really drill down.
Yes.
So if you're doing a regional campaign, say for the Northeast, or you're doing a national campaign, you can really drill down.
So you can go really granular on the audience targeting because you've got the big geographical area.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. And the issue is then when you go into a local area, what the challenge is, you want to apply some targeting on that. What happens is what we found was there was no one publisher had enough audience to be able to deliver against it. So you need to have all publishers plugged in to get that scale to be able to apply that advertising, those audience segmentations. If you haven't got that scale, you're just not going to get away with it. And that's where you'll see people saying, well, go a little bit wider, don't have so many things. You've got to have the audience scale plugged in to be able to apply.
So you've got to have multi-channel audience. You've got to have, if we're going to talk about the radio here for a second, you've got to have the Bauer channels and the global channels.
Absolutely.
And the news channels.
Absolutely.
So that you can granularly go
and
down
the
from the top.
Spotify
Yes, exactly. So when you start building all of that and the gaming, and then you build in the podcasting and the aircast and all of a sudden you've got scale so that you can to put the
audience segmentation.
That makes sense. That gives us a flavour of how we do it.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the trends that we should be looking out for? Do you think in from a digital audio perspective? Is there anything? It's moved along very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It's got to this point now. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's because it is accountable. There's a huge amount of accountability in the audio world all of a sudden. Are there any trends we need to be looking out for?
Yeah, there are. I think there. I mentioned before that largely you've got 4 main channels at the minute, which is radio, podcast, music streaming, and mobile in-game. They're the 4 big channels.
Yeah.
But audiobooks are coming on stream now, more and more, where you can advertise within audiobooks themselves. It's been beta tested, I think, by Spotify at the moment. There is some availability of it already. If you go on to a lot of publisher websites, you might see now text-to-speech applications for people that may struggle with the site, so they can listen to the copy on it. You can do advertising with the text-to-speech channels, audio ads within those channels on our website. Connected television, so doing audio ads within TV, so you just have a static display, but it's an audio ad that runs with it, so that could go across YouTube and all of the CTV channels as well, which is very effective. And then retail media is starting to come in now. So things like Asda Radio and stuff, once they start plugging their inventory into the programmatic channels, then that's the real growth there. And the other trend is the word I've just used, programmatic, which is effectively the automatic trading of advertising. So it's not necessarily about having to buy from a person representing to a publisher anymore. If we took 10 years ago, maybe about 12 years ago now, 20% of digital display advertising, i.e. newspaper advertising, magazine advertising online, 20% of it was done programmatically. it's now over 80%.
Right.
And audio is going that same way. At the moment, it's still probably in those early days of where display was, but the trading of it is becoming more and more automatic, and that gives you the access to the technology that we've talked about.
And that's the technology that allow that to happen. So
Yes.
you plug in the polygon, the geographic area, you plug in the target, and then it will just be served, and it will, yeah.
Yeah, because if you think about it, there's over 300 different publishers in the UK of audio content.
Right.
300 a lot. Now, many people would just think of your Bowers, your Globals, your Spotify, so there's over 300.
Yeah.
So that's quite eye-opening for a start.
It is, yes.
If you want to buy advertising on each of them, you've got to have 300 conversations.
Yeah.
That's just a nightmare, and you're not going to be able to do it physically. What we've got, all of those places coming into one place so that you can have that one conversation.
Fantastic, Roger. Okay, I've got a small budget.
Yeah.
Can I utilise this, or is it just for the big boys?
What my background has been in local radio advertising sales, and my co-founder Michael has come from that same background as well.
Yeah.
So when we did this, it was all about looking at the local market and the regional market and the challenges of those advertisers. And programmatic audio is benefiting the major global and international brands massively because of the scale that it's got and the amount of targeting that they can do. But actually, it's a huge opportunity for local and regional advertisers, especially with a small budget, because whilst it may be small in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot of money to you.
Absolutely.
As the advertiser.
Yeah.
And you've got to get some real return on investment from that. And digital audio gives you the opportunity to do that. And you can be doing campaigns for the low thousands of pounds, no problem at all, and getting good success.
Fantastic. You've kind of answered this, but give us a flavour. What platforms, what channels do if somebody was to buy a campaign through audioadpro, would it be served on? I appreciate it would depend on the targeting, but just give us a flavour of the type of household names that people would associate with the platforms where it would be served.
Yeah, I think for us, before I name some of those, we are kind of publisher and channel agnostic. We couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Well, from our point of view, it's about the audience. Is it the right person that's listening?
Yeah.
Now, in selling radio for all those years, we sold our brands.
Yeah.
And people are still buying brands.
Yes.
And they feel, I want to be on Spotify, or I want to be on this radio station, or whatever.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they go, well, I quite like that,
Yeah.
and it fits. And I know some of my customers listen to that, so I want to be in there. From our point of view, we're totally agnostic. So we just follow the listener. I know you were talking earlier about your daughter, who she may put in a podcast on in the morning and then listen to her own playlist on a Spotify playlist or whatever it is. The listener now is very mobile. They're just here, there, and everywhere. They're not loyal to anything particularly.
No.
So what you've got to do is track them.
Yes.
So it's about that. So we don't know prior to the campaign starting what channels it'll be, because it depends on what that person is listening to.
Yeah.
But to give you an idea, all of the kind of radio channels that you would expect to see, Spotify, all of the podcasts, because there's lots of different podcast publishers, but it's more about where they're listening to it and how they're accessing it. You'll hear the expression from people pushing their podcasts is, listen to this podcast wherever you get your podcast from.
Yeah.
So again, people listening to the same podcast, but some might listen through Spotify, some might listen through Global Player, etc. All different kinds of ways. So, but yeah, I think, are there any that I've missed out there?
No, but I think that's a really good point. So you're totally independent.
Yeah.
By being channel agnostic, that means that it is purely and utterly about the delivery of the audience for the advertiser.
Yeah.
As opposed to, well, we've got so many of this and we've got a larger percentage of that. It's a case of it doesn't matter where it goes.
Exactly. Once upon a time, when you were doing radio advertising, you would have to be in a situation where do I think most of my fish are swimming?
Yeah.
Now we just go, here's a fish, there's a fish, there's a fish, and take it from there. We're totally agnostic. So it's a very democratic way of buying it.
Yes, it is, and I think it answers one of the penultimate questions. Is audioadpro? You set it up; it's going great guns. What sets not just your platform? What sets your business apart? What sets audioadpro apart from some of the others?
Well, we are the only business of our kind. And we only specialise in audio, so we are purely audio. Lots of digital platforms, etc., are omni-channel, so go across lots of different things. We focus on audio. Our team have come from a kind of largely radio background, and it's applying that knowledge to this new world and this new technology. And then two key things that set us apart is being able to cut out that geographic wastage.
Yes.
Then to be able to apply all that different audience segmentation on top of that. And because we're connected everywhere, we have the scale to be able to do that efficiently.
Roger, thanks very much indeed. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.